see you guys there. Obviously, I'm doing some practice sessions in my not real dirt car, but we haven't talked about my real dirt car in a while, have we? So let me go ahead and get out of this car, and let's get to the real car and show you guys why we haven't talked about it in a while. Alright guys, well welcome back to another episode of the Dirt Car series where we talk about my street stock car and what happened to it. I haven't really updated this thread with any videos recently, and there's kind of a big reason why. Needless to say, I have gone to an event last year. It was the final event of the year. Luckily, it was the final event of the year. And we were doing pretty well. I think I started somewhere in the back, if I remember correctly, worked my way up a little bit, was kind of midfield, I think I started up front, worked my way back, and was midfield, somewhere like that. Don't exactly remember, but it's one thing I do remember, and it's how the race ended. And for me, it ended early, unfortunately. I ended up actually blowing the engine on the last race, and there's a very good reason why, and so that's why this video is titled, How to Blow Up Your Engine, because you'll see why. Don't let this happen. If you're ever racing dirt cars, you don't want this to happen to you. So let's go ahead and watch the video here real quick. I want you guys to see kind of what happened, and I'll let you guys make a guess on what you think caused the engine to blow up. So here we go. Alright guys, so as you can see, obviously, the engine indeed blew up. And it was for an obvious reason. I nearly flipped the car. So to give you guys a little bit more of a kind of situation update and what happened during this race, before this race we were plagued with weeks and weeks of rain. I think we had 2 to almost 3 weeks of almost consecutive rain in this area where the track is at. And it caused the track to be super, super muddy. And because it was the last event of the season and they had already delayed it, I think 1 or 2 weeks, they were trying just to go ahead and get it done because there was people from out of state. It was a pretty big event. There was a lot of people out of state coming in to do this race, and they were tired of pushing it back, and they were just trying to kind of get it done. I totally understand the reasoning behind that. They figured the track was good enough that they would be able to at least get everyone there and do the races. And before the race had started, we had noticed, because we were, I think, the third series to race, we were noticing that there was some major bumps into turn 3 and 4, kind of right in the middle at the lower side. So that's why you'll kind of see in the track, I'm really kind of taking a mid to high line through the corners. And it's because I was told that, especially in turns 3 and 4, towards the bottom on the inside, there were some major bumps, and there were some cars getting like airborne hitting these bumps. And they try to kind of smooth them out a little bit beforehand and make the track a little bit better to drive, but I didn't really want to risk it, so I was just kind of taking the high line. I didn't want to chance having any issues with those bumps, and, you know, it was the last race of the season. Last thing I wanted to do was end on a bad note, and unfortunately this happened. And so the track was really, really muddy. You'll notice in the turn before 3 and 4, coming out of turn 2, I take that back. In turns 3 and 4, the lap before I almost flip it, you'll notice the whole front end of the car just lifts up as I get out of it. I'm trying to be as fast as I can while still kind of being conservative. There's a lot of ruts, and like I said, it's super muddy. And so as I'm coming out of the corner, you'll see the whole front end of the car lift up. And this car was set up that way to where when the track was really grippy like this, it would do that. Because the guy I bought the car off of, he was used to driving the car like that. And so the car was set up that way. It does that really, really easily, and you can be fast doing it that way. But that was more his driving style. It's not necessarily mine, so we're going to be changing it up this season. But obviously the engine blew up. And the reason it blew up, we actually took the engine all the way to the engine builder that had built the engine. We disassembled it. Obviously, the engine completely just ate itself apart. It seems like what happened was the engine starved itself of oil, and it was from me nearly flipping it. I mean, I was really on that edge of saving it. I remember, I've never really been in a situation like this in any of the cars that I've driven. It really felt like I was going to flip. In that very specific moment, it's like everyone says, time kind of slows down, and you're like, crap, I'm going to flip. And I just put my hands over the switch panels to kill the engine, and I was just waiting for it. I was like, I'll turn a little bit to the left, because you kind of want to steer the car where you want it to go. If I were to turn to the right, it definitely would have flipped over, because it would have carried the weight over. So I kind of turned to the left a little bit, and I was just right on that fine edge, and I just looked over, and I remember seeing the track, and I'm like, yep, I'm going to flip. I just waited, and luckily I saved it, kept going. I was so ecstatic at that point. I was like, holy crap, I saved that. It was such a cool feeling. And then the next lap, the engine blew, and luckily it blew right at where the exit for the track was, and I knew what happened. Like, I instantly just heard it. You just heard, and the whole thing just ate itself apart. I knew what happened. I've blown up enough engines. And so I just coasted it off the track as far as I could go. We got a four-wheeler, put it in the trailer, and left. Unfortunately, that's how the race ended. But it was nice that it happened now at the end of the season, because that means we can start this new season this year with a brand new engine. And so we don't necessarily have to worry about it as much. Because honestly, had this not happened this year, it was going to happen next year. Upon disassemble of the engine, we found that there was some sand and stuff that had gotten mixed in with the oil, and it was starting to eat it apart. So it was pretty much a matter of time. If it wasn't going to happen now, it was going to happen later on. So we ended up going ahead, and we're getting a completely new engine built all the way from the ground up. Hardly anything's going to be used from the old engine. The block was completely disintegrated. I mean, it totally tore apart rods and pistons. It was done. And you can actually see whenever we looked at the engine inside the car, it kind of looked like a grenade had went off in the oil pan, because there was chunks of metal trying to shoot out from the oil pan, and it was like shrapnel just coming out the oil pan. It was cool, but it really sucked. So that's why there hasn't been too many updates, because that happened. And I've actually tried to film this video like 3 times now. This is my 4th time filming it, and I failed, and then I like gave up on it, and now I'm back doing it again. So essentially, that's where we're at. And the reason I'm going ahead and making this video now is we're hoping that soon we get the engine back from the engine builder, we get it back in the car. We've missed, I think, only 2 races so far this season. However, they've canceled the last 3, so we're really not behind. And we're going to be trying to go pretty hard. I've actually got a couple new body panels that I bought for the car, but we're going to wait to put those on, simply because I'm going to run with the original banged up panels that we got the car with. And it's because I just want to... I know the beginning of the season, I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive. Everyone else is going to be a little bit more aggressive. And I don't want to bang up my really nice new panels on the first race, even though I guess that's what they're for. That's what this sport's about. Getting up close with cars. As my great... Not my great-grandpa, but I call him great because he is great. But as my grandpa said, in this sport, if you're not touching doors with the car next to you, you're not racing hard enough. And it's really true. This is definitely a contact sport, and it's a ton of fun. So I'm excited to hopefully be getting back in the car soon. I wanted to at least give you guys this update, because I know I've kind of let this thread die just a little bit. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. If you guys got any tips for this coming year, please feel free to let me know. And if you guys are in the Oklahoma/Texas area, even Arkansas area, and you really want to come do a race, we will be racing in Southern Oklahoma Speedway down in Ardmore all year this year. We're going to be competing only there, because it's a track that we're very comfortable with as of right now, and since I'm still learning, I feel it's best for me just to compete there. That way I don't have to change the car up, mess something up, try and learn a new track. We might do that the year following, but we feel this year we're just going to stick to Ardmore. It's the best thing for us to do at this point, and it works for us because it's not too terribly far away. We can easily make the drive in a weekend and back. And yeah, that's basically it. So I hope to see you guys next time. Hopefully next time I'll be in the car.